Hey everyone, it's Jerry here. Just thought I'd get on here, talk a little bit about blah. Try this again. We got this. Hey everyone, it's Jerry here. Just thought I'd get on here and talk a little bit about my process, how I go about recording, producing, songwriting, that type of thing. So we're going to talk about the song that I'm currently working on. It's a song called Memories With You. It's a song that I plan on releasing. This is a behind the scenes look at it, and you get to see my process and see how I go about it. Full disclaimer, I'm not, claiming to be the world's greatest producer, mixer, songwriter, what have you. This is just a song that I felt inspired to write. Obviously, it's still in the working formation of it. I'm still, refining lyrics, that type of thing. But I do have, as far as like the audio portion of it, I have the drums down, I have the bass down, I still need to do record with a mic with acoustic, and then do final vocals, and then I'm having a friend of mine do electric guitars. So I thought I would just get in the process of showing you how I go about this. So this is basically an advice buffet. You can take from it what you want. If anything, you learn something from it. If not, then I'm sorry. So we're gonna get out right here in the process of it. So let me just switch this over. I'm gonna go ahead and minimize that. And this is basically the song. Obviously, you can see the title right here. It says Those Memories. It's definitely changed, and I'll get a little bit more in the aspect of that when, probably the next video will be talking about like songwriting and then the meaning behind it. But let me just kind of zoom out real quick. I'd say, there's obviously a lot of tracks that I've yet to use. Some of these I probably will, delete because I won't need them. But there is a portion of these tracks that have already been kind of either recorded or, kind of used with samples and that type of thing. So let's get talking into how I go about from the start. So normally for me, I'll just go ahead and do basically just, a scratch guitar. That's just how I go about it. Let me see where that is. So for this, I don't want to get too loud because it may be a little bit loud, but so normally I'll just go with the guitar. Rather than, this is supposed to be like an acoustic type song. It's kind of, I want to say country rockish, if that. But for the process, basically what I'll do is I'll just grab one of my electric guitars, kind of just have it clean, no distortion, no nothing, and then just play it, and then just so that way I can get the basis of it, and then that way I can go moving on to percussion, and then bass, and then all the other different elements. So let's get into it. So this is just the acoustic, scratch guitar, which was really a Telecaster. So, nothing fancy. So here it goes. As you can tell, not really much of anything, so. But, let me not do, okay. So, that's just it. And then we'll go, this is how I normally go about my drums. So I live in a house with not only my wife, but 5 kids. So you don't really get to, you don't really have a whole lot of time to go, mic drums, which I do got a drum set in the very back, have drum mics and all that. Just sometimes it's a lot easier to go ahead and just program it rather than, actually, mic it all up and then get into it. So I'm just going to show you what I use. Let me go to it real quick. So this is DrumForge. I know it's probably, genre-wise, you're probably thinking, why would you use DrumForge? And if you don't know what DrumForge is basically a drum sampler for like metal or for like, hard rock, that type of thing. Which they have a lot of great drum sets that you can use. So I don't know what Corn on the Cob is. I've never used it. Mostly I use natural or new metal or rock starter, for like the little harder stuff. And let me just show you, but let me go here. I'll show you the process. And so this is basically just me. So this is, the drums. This is the kick. That's the snare. You got a little few hi-hats. I'm sorry, not hi-hats. Toms. This is mostly cymbals. I think this is the hi-hat. These are cymbals right there. But yeah, I'll just go through on the keypad, kick, snare, kick, snare, and with hi-hats, sometimes I'll just write that stuff in, so that way I don't have to mess with it. Very rarely. I mean, there are sample packs. I'm not sorry, sample packs. There are MIDI packs you can use. Drumforge has a great amount. They have like an alternative pop one, new metal. I keep hitting C for some reason, but they have like metal, that type of thing. So I would check it out because there are some drum fills that I'll go in here and use, or I'll go ahead and use and then kind of manually edit to my taste or how I would play it on the drum. So, and once you're done with that, I export every piece. Let me go ahead and show you what I got going on here with drums wise. I'll probably have to wait a second because looks like my speakers were on standby and they kind of went down. I don't understand that. So. Okay, so go back into it. And it's already processed. Like I kind of went through at the end once I export it. Did some compression, did some EQing, that type of thing. Sample replacing on the snare. Just a little extra girth, I guess. So one sample pack that I mostly use in every production I do is it's a tambourine pack called Can O Tambos. I'll put the link in the URL in the description. It's by, I believe, Off the Wall Studios. Just a really good tambourine pack that I use. Basically, it has every tambourine that's whatever BPM you should want. I believe it goes from like 50 or something. I could be wrong, but it goes way, really super fast. So for me, I just normally just subdivide it. This song was done in 150, so this is about 75. So, but this is the tambourine pack. Basically, they have processed, they have non-processed, they have tambourine swings and tambourine hits in 16-bit, 24-bit, 44.1 kilohertz, 48. So here you go. Pretty simple. It matches a bar. You basically duplicate it. And it's just something I do. A lot of my favorite artists do this. They basically will put a tambourine on the chorus. It just kind of gives it that it's a chorus. It's going to be open. It's kind of airy, that type of thing. And they do have hits. I need to add like a hit. Sometimes I'll add they have just a or a little small shake. It just kind of makes it a little more authentic and not so hey, I programmed this. So, but hey, you got what I do already so far. All right, so let's go on to bass. I've already edited this bass. I use a lot of Slate stuff. I have the subscription. I did Melodyne a few notes just because I wanted to make sure that it was tuned right. I mean, obviously you tune as well as you can, but there's some notes that are not sounding accurate. So I went ahead and tuned that and then bounced it down. This is basically the the file. So for the bass, basically I use a Black Lion Audio Autuer DT. It's an external preamp. It's a small thing. It's kind of handheld, nothing crazy, but I just think it gives it so much sound. It gives it so much low end. Let me just show you. Just kind of has that just has that that beefiness. So I mean, I like it. I mean, I've plugged bass into my interface, but when I had the Black Line going through the 1824C for Fire Studio from Presonus, but I just think it just gives it some width and some girth, and I like the bass, so I like the bass. We're gonna go on to, so obviously, like I said, there's still electric. There's still acoustic that I need to do. This is kind of I had bought a Martin not too long ago, so I wanted to go direct, see how it sounds. It doesn't sound bad. So not bad. I do have some stuff going on with that. I have basically going through the Infinity EQ, and then the LA2A, and then a little verb going through. As far as guitar goes, I'm just going to show you these guitars. Like I said, these guitars, I'm going to have a buddy of mine do them, but I just kind of wanted to get something along the line, just kind of just to noodle around the guitar and to kind of get some ideas. It's just basically just something I'll show my good buddy Pete, who's also in the live band for Samuel Day. Really good friend of mine. He's been on a lot of all my projects really for doing guitar and stuff like that. So just knowledgeable, and he shreds like no other. So, but this is just stuff that I, for the time being, was like, okay, I'm just gonna get some ideas down just to kind of see how it sound. Let me just show you that. We're just gonna go ahead and play it real quick. So like I said, I'm not like the world's best guitar player or anything like that. That's why I give it to somebody who's more knowledgeable than I am about this thing. But I'm just going to give you a glimpse of the song, so that way you have an idea what it sounds like, and then I'm just going to play from the chorus, or towards the very end of the verse, and then to the chorus, and kind of here's what I have so far. Let me mute, just in case if I do have vocal, and I think it took the vocals out. Did I? Yes. Okay, so here it is. So it sounds pretty good. I'm really digging it. I did forget to show you one other thing. So right in the beginning of the song, I do have some samples going on. Nothing crazy. It's just I kind of wanted to have some samples rather it like some of my favorite country artists do this. They have like Tim McGraw kind of has some loops or some samples going on, usually in the first part of the verse, and it's kind of like what Joe Gilder said. It's basically like a triangle. You want your song to be almost like a triangle, right? You're getting towards the main part of the song, and then kind of going, towards the very end, you're kind of quieting out. But this is just, as far as the loops go, nothing crazy. Just simple, like. Oh, hold on one second, because I was like, where's the kick? So we're gonna show you that real quick. So here it is. So nothing crazy. It's just, and I think do I have that going anything? Just have it going to the virtual mix. Basically just custom Autuer, So just going to a compressor, and that's all that is. But yeah, this is the process of how I go about as far as just recording. Like, I'll just do scratch guitar, drums, bass, some auxiliary stuff such as samples. I did have one other thing to show you, and just this kind of ties into verse 3. I just did like a Hammond organ. I'm sorry, it's a vintage B3 organ. So nothing crazy. It's just stock Logic. So, and this is what it sounds like. Just basically just doing chords, nothing crazy. So, and that's it. So there you have it. This is basically my process, how I go about doing this. It could be very basic for you. It could be very advanced. We're all in different stages. So, like I said, I don't claim to be, the world's best, producer, songwriter, engineer, whatever. This is just how I go about doing things. But yeah, it's basically an advice buffet. You can take from it what you want and leave out the rest. So that's it from me. I plan on doing more videos. Hope you'll stick around, and we'll see you soon. All right, peace.